You, as Muslim, say that intoxicants are unanimously haram, forbidden. And atheist says that they are lawful and permitted. But the advocate of enlightenment comes and says, I will interpret and manipulate with the religious text, so that I can make intoxicants lawful in Islam. In a brief, this is the Enlightenment project they want to apply in our countries. And it is the most dangerous entrance to atheism. Atheism is a parasitic phenomenon in the history of mankind, that's entirely full of belief in the Creator. As Dr. Abdullah al-Shiheri says, atheism only appeared as a shark fin, in the middle of the vast deep oceans, of religion. Hence, we know that the existence of the word atheist in the books of older senior scholars. When they said that someone is atheist, doesn't mean the contemporary definition of atheism. As the contemporary, terminological, definition of atheism, means, denying the Creator, the unseen, and prophethood. Older senior scholars didn't mean that definition. But they meant a kind of deviation, regarding a topic of Islamic doctrine. For example, God's names and His attributes. So, whoever says that Ibn Sina, or other Muslim philosophers were atheists, and accuse them of the contemporary definition of atheism, is ignorant. May Allah, peace, mercy and His greetings be upon you. What's the meaning of atheism? Atheism in Arabic language, had, means tilt, or inclination. Allah, the Almighty, says in the Noble Quran, chapter 16 Surat al-Nahl, verse 103.
لسان الذي يلحدون إليه أعجمي وهذا لسان عربي مبين.
Wickedly point to, means, incline or refer to. But atheism in contemporary terminology, means denying the Creator, the unseen, prophethood, resurrection, and judgment day. Atheism includes many sects, and different doctrines. As there are atheist, who denies the Creator, the unseen, prophethood, resurrection and judgment day. Deist, who believes in the Creator, but denies religions. Agnostic, who can neither prove nor deny the existence of the Creator. A pantheist, who doesn't care about the religious cause, or the existence of the Creator at all. We can call all of the above irreligious. As atheists, deists, agnostics and pantheists are considered irreligious. There's the humane who only believes in humanity. And he may be atheist or not atheist. These are the most famous classifications of contemporary sects of atheism. There's an important observation we must notice. There's huge difference between linguistic definition and terminological definition of atheism. Atheism according to linguistic definition means clinging. So this also includes astray sects, like al-Mu'tazila. Hence, we know that the existence of the word atheist in the books of older senior scholars. When they said that someone is atheist, doesn't mean the contemporary, terminological, definition of atheism. As the contemporary, terminological, definition of atheism, means, denying the Creator, the unseen, and prophethood. So, older senior scholars didn't mean that definition. But they meant a kind of deviation, regarding a topic of Islamic doctrine. For example, God's names and His attributes. So, whoever says that Ibn Sina, or other Muslim philosophers were atheists, and accuse them of the contemporary definition of atheism, is ignorant. Because none of them was atheist according to the contemporary, terminological, definition of atheism. But, some of them fell in error, regarding some doctrinal issues. They clearly believed in the Creator, the unseen, prophethood, and judgment day. So their atheism was atheism by linguistic definition, not by terminological definition. When did atheism start? There isn't a well-known beginning of atheism. There isn't atheism with its contemporary, terminological definition. That means denying the Creator. Before the 18th century, except what was attributed to Diagoras, the history of nations was entirely full of belief in the Creator. No one acknowledged the denial of the Creator, whether in the East or West, till the 18th century. Throughout the history of mankind, there wasn't a single atheist who denied the existence of the Creator, till the 18th century. Some sayings were attributed to this and that, but none of which were proven. Wilderand, a famous historian, says in his set of books, The Story of Civilization, the old belief that religion is a phenomenon that pervades all mankind, is still valid. Al-Sarastani said, I have never met anyone, or read an article for anyone who denies God, the Creator, the All-Wise, the All-Capable. Atheism is a parasitic phenomenon in the history of mankind, that's entirely full of belief in the Creator. As Dr. Abdullah al-Shiheri says, atheism only appeared as a shark fin, in the middle of the vast deep oceans, of religion. Atheism began with the 18th century, when the advocates of enlightenment and secularism started to interpret religious texts in Europe. Interpretation of religious texts and getting them out of context and meaning, is the most dangerous entrance to atheism. Because interpretation of religious texts, and getting them out of context and meaning, leads to a loss of confidence in the meaning of texts. It makes whatever comes to your mind, from understanding it, unreliable. Because it may have another interpretation you don't understand. Interpretation of religious texts, and getting them out of context, and meaning, is a crime against religion. So, atheism spread in the West, when people had lost confidence in religious texts. This is what advocates of enlightenment try to apply in our countries. They try to manipulate with religious text, so that they could get it out of its meaning. You, as Muslim, say that intoxicants are unanimously haram, forbidden. And atheist says that they are lawful and permitted. But the advocate of enlightenment comes and says, I will interpret and manipulate with the religious text, so that I can make intoxicants lawful in Islam. In a brief, this is the Enlightenment project they want to apply in our countries. And it is the most dangerous entrance to atheism. Atheism started to emerge in Europe in the 18th century. However, atheism, that means denying the Creator, hasn't emerged yet. It was just a kind of rebel against religion and clergy. It wasn't atheism according to the contemporary, terminological, definition. For example, the most famous anti-religion person at that time, the French philosopher Voltaire. Even though Voltaire was against Christianity, he was keen on teaching his servants morals within the framework of religion. Voltaire also said, if there was no God, my wife would cheat on me, and my servant would rob me. What was even odder, at the end of his life, he built a church. And he engraved on its entrance, O God, remember your servant Voltaire. And he assumed that it was the only church devoted for God on earth, while other churches are devoted for saints. He was sending his servants regularly to the church, so that they could teach their kids principles of religion. At that moment in history, we haven't observed atheism with its contemporary meaning. As we entered the 19th century, theories of atheism have been developed. Ideas upon which atheism will be built on, started to emerge. Karl Marx started to develop his economical theories for atheism. Marx considered that economics is the one and only infrastructure, and that religion will vanish in the communist society. At the exact same time, theory of evolution, by Charles Darwin, emerged, in which he claimed that living beings evolved from one another. A few years later, Émile Durkheim, a French sociologist, appeared and told us how religion originated. Émile Durkheim tried to explain how religion originated, and he said that religion emerged as a result of community where clans share an animal title, totem. This is the most famous theories upon which atheism was founded in the 19th century. The 20th century came and proved those theories to be a resounding failure. For Durkheim's theory that religion originated from totem. When this hypothesis was tested, it turned out that there are entire civilizations, nations and continents, that know nothing of totem. And they didn't have the system of animal titles. However, they all had clearly the doctrine of believing in the one God. There's no relationship between totem and origin of religion. And the incredible thing is, they discovered that the concept of totem in ancient tribes is an economical concept, not religious. Totem is a national sign and symbol that defines the tribes by their descendants. It's something like a flag countries have today. It's an absurd idea to think that the community founded religion. It's known that religion is a singular phenomenon. Religion is a relationship between a human and his God. How can the collective mind create religion? Has anyone heard of a religion that the community accepted immediately? Or is it the opposite that always occurred? As the usual situation is, when the community fight religion, and its advocates. Isn't that a repeated historical origin? Those assumptions that Durkheim posed, didn't answer the main question. From where did the idea of, the greatest God, come? Who created the heavens and the earth? On which clan style was that idea followed? How have invitations been established for it, throughout history and countries? Believing in the one God, the Creator, is the lasting case throughout the history of all apostles. Unfortunately, Durkheim's fantasies have been taught for decades in European universities as scientific issues. By the way, Durkheim had a great role in knowledge misrepresentation for Europeans. When he presented tribal parties with its orgy and degeneracy as its considered religious manifestation for them. It's been proven that those parties were rebel against the social and religious structure of the tribes. This case has become one of the most famous fraud of Durkheim. Tribal systems in all communities are based on gender segregation. However, Durkheim in a strange way, made rebel against tribal structures and bacchanals, religious manifestations. The 20th century came and proved the absurdity of Durkheim's theories. As for Karl Marx's economical theory, entire nations adopted it. Communism emerged in the countries of Eastern Europe, Russia, China, Cambodia, Cuba, and Korea. What was the result? Marxism collapsed and the Soviet Union disintegrated. Now, contemporary atheists are ashamed of Marxist theories. Only corrupt pockets remained here and there, from Marxism, after it dominated entire nations 50 years ago. As for the biological theories of Charles Darwin, people tried to apply them. People tried to apply the theory of evolution within concentration camps. So, Nazi Germany appeared, and World War II broke out due to that theory. Survival of the fittest and exterminating weaker races, subman, as they call them. Such a terrible world war in which 5% of human beings were exterminated as a result of that theory. They believed that human beings are evolved animals, came to the center stage due to Darwinian evolution. Subsequently, as strong animals devour weak ones, strong nations must devour weak nations as well. The 20th century proved the ugly face of atheism. Atheistic theories totally failed, Nazism collapsed, after it had showed the impudence of racism. And Soviet Union collapsed. With just a single word, atheism failed to analyze the phenomenon of human. For human cannot be explained according to false theories, or else the meaning of human would collapse. As we entered the 21st century, atheism had to change more of its vestures. It had to change its costumes, so that it may find a place for it in the new century. Even at the expense of ridiculing all theories on which it was founded. As it mocked at social Darwinism, Marxism, and Durkheim's fraud. Atheism found out that the popular word in the new century is science. So it falsely dressed up the costume of science. And it introduced itself this time as scientific atheism. As the habit of humans, prophethood foes and followers of worldly life, they cling to whatever is worldly. And cling to whatever drives them away from toiling for the hereafter life. In the last decade, they, in large numbers, clung to atheism, assuming that it was merely scientific atheism. If those people had lived in the ages of prophets, they would have clung to stones, idols, or bullocks. And they would have worshipped any idol that drives them away from the true religion. However, they followed the biggest idol, which is Dame Nature itself. They attributed everything in this universe to nature. They called themselves new atheists. And said, we became atheists due to science. While they know that it is imposter. And it's just a bunch of assumptions and guesses. Not an authentic experimental science. Whenever it undresses its assumptions and guesses, it will appear with its real face, the bloody racist, Darwinist, and ugly face. If God wills, in next episodes of this series, we will discuss the most famous assumptions and guesses, accompanied by scientific responses to them. This is the short history of atheism. How did it start? How did it become? What's its form? What are its theories and notions on which it was founded? And how did those theories fail on application? For today's assignments, we must read the book of The Supreme Message, written by Dr. Abdullah Diraz, may Allah have mercy on him. This book establishes a powerful basis for increasing certainty of creed. It increases certainty regarding your creed in heart, using mental evidence. It's essential for those who seek the truth, and those who debate people who suspect in religion. You can find the book in first link in the description section. You must read the book thoroughly and carefully, and write down important notes and information. I wish you will have a notebook to write down information we discuss in this series, so that it may establish itself at your mind, and you may revise it whenever you want. Thanks for listening. May Allah's peace, mercy, and His greetings be upon you.